Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, we would like to thanks to our lecturer, Dr. Siti Norbiah binti Mat Rejab, for her valuable guidance and moral support throughout the period of completing this assignment. So today, our group would like to present about the Bretton Woods systems, issues, challenges, and implications in economic perspective. We hope you guys can understand clearly and enjoy our video presentations. Before we start our presentations, let me introduce our group members. Firstly, I'm Nurfilza binti Muhammad Effendi. Second, Nurul Afika binti Syahyumi. Third, Nur Hazwani binti Abdul Razak. And lastly, Anissa binti Kamaruddin. Alright, in this slide, we just stated 3 objectives of our assignment. So, this assignment will be conducted to achieve certain objectives as below. Firstly, we want to study about the Bretton Woods system. Second, we want to identify the issues and challenges of Bretton Woods system. And lastly, we want to identify the implications in economic perspective about the Bretton Woods system. Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurfilza binti Muhammad Effendi, number metric 2019612676. I'm the first presenter for this group presentations, so I will start with the introduction regarding to our topic. Okay, first of all, we must know what is the meaning of the Bretton Woods system. Okay, Bretton Woods system is a set of unified rules and policies that provided the framework necessary to create a fixed international currency exchange rate. Next, the Bretton Woods system or agreement was reached in a 1944 summit held in New Hampshire, USA on a site by the same name. The agreement was reached by 730 delegates who were the representative of the 44 nations that attended the summit. The delegates within the agreement used the gold standard to create a fixed currency exchange rate. The agreement also facilitated the creation of immensely important structure in the financial world, which are the International Monetary Fund, which means IMF, and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which means IBRD. Okay, which is known today as the World Bank. Other than that, the Bretton Woods system was the first example of a fully negotiated monetary order intended to govern monetary relations among independent states. The chief features of the Bretton Woods system were an obligation for each country to adopt a monetary policy that maintained its external exchange rate within 1% by tying its currency to gold, and the ability of the International Monetary Fund IMF to reach temporary imbalance of payments. Also, there was a need to address the lack of cooperations among other countries and to prevent competitive devaluations of the currency as well.
The Bretton Woods Conference, held in July 1944, established the World Bank, the International Trade Organization (ITO), and the International Monetary Fund (IMF), and the post-war monetary arrangements in which the US dollar replaced gold as the world's reserve currency. The United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference was held in July 1944 at the Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. where delegates from 44 nations created a new international monetary system known as the Bretton Woods system. These countries saw the opportunity for a new international system after World War II that would draw on the lessons of the previous gold standards and the experience of the Great Depressions and provide for post-war reconstruction. They sought to create a system that would not only avoid the rigidity of previous international monetary system, but would also address the lack of cooperation among the countries on the system. The classic gold standard had been abandoned after World War I. In the interwar period, governments not only undertook competitive devaluations, but also set up restrictive trade policies that was the Great Depression. Those at Bretton Woods envisioned an international monetary system that will ensure exchange rate stability, prevent competitive devaluations, and promote economic growth. Although all the participants agreed on the goals of the new system, plans to implement them differed. One of the most influential economists of the time, and arguably still today, called for the creation of large institutions with the resources and the authority to step in when imbalances occur. This approach was consistent with his belief that public institutions should be able to intervene at the time of crisis. The performance of Bretton Woods in comparison to alternative monetary regimes sought a set of monetary arrangements that combine all the benefits of the gold standard, which is the exchange rate stability, with the benefits of the variable rate, for example, the independence to pursue national full employment policies. Okay, they aim to avoid both the flows of floating rates, which is the destabilizing speculation and competitive begetting neighbor devaluations, and the flows of the fixed exchange rate gold standards. Subordination of the national monetary policies to the dictates of internal balance and subjection of the economy to the international transmissions of the business cycle. The IMF mission is to foster international monetary cooperation by establish a global monitoring organization that oversees, consults, and collaborates on monetary issues. It is the spirit of global trade and, as a result, promotes and maintains high levels of employment and real income. When a country joins the IMF, it is required to submit a particular amount of money known as a quota subscription, which acts as a form of credit deposit. These quotas are the IMF primary resources of funds, which is it used to provide loans to member nations experiencing financial difficulties. As the currencies became convertible in 1958, the Bretton Woods system became fully operational. Dollars were used to settle foreign balances, and they were convertible to gold at the predetermined rate of 35 per ounce. The US was responsible for maintaining the price of gold and had to alter the quantity of dollars in order to retain trust in future gold convertibility. The Bretton Woods system was in place until recurrent US balance of payments defeated caused foreign held dollars to outnumber US gold stock, signaling that the US would be unable to meet its duty to redeem dollars for gold at the official price. So that's all from me. Thank you. And I will pass this presentation for the second objective. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Hazwani binti Abdul Razak. My matric number is 2019253346. Today, I will continue the presentation, which is issues and challenges in the Bretton Woods systems.
At Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, delegates from 44 allied and associate countries arrived for the opening of the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference. Invited by President Roosevelt to the first major world financial meeting since the London Conference of 1933, they will work in the seclusion of this White Mountains resort. Zhang Shi-kung, one of China's representatives, with Secretary and Mrs. Henry Morgenthau. United States Treasury Secretary Morgenthau heads the American delegation. On the opening day, in his role of acting conference president, he addresses the meeting. To be discussed are plans for the stabilization of world currencies. All agreements must be ratified by the governing bodies of the nations involved before becoming effective. Delegates to this monetary and financial conference pose on the hotel lawn. These meetings are designed to promote trade in the post-war world and to create a foundation for lasting peace.
Next, on your screen now shows the durations of Bretton Woods systems. A total of 730 delegates from all 44 allied countries took part in the conference. The system also provides that each country should have a monetary policy for a designated currency exchange system pledged to the value of gold. This system is the first example of currency negotiations and regulations aimed at administering financial affairs between independent countries. Next, the system collapsed in 1971 after the United States alone ended the convertibility of the dollar to gold. This American action created a situation where the United States dollar became the only guaranteed currency and reserve currency for members countries. With the existence of these systems, the International Monetary Fund, which is IMF, and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD, which are now part of the World Bank Group, have been established. In addition, the design of the Bretton Woods system forces countries in the world to only convert gold to the main currency, which is the US dollar. The countries of the world cannot convert dollars to gold and instead just keep the dollar. Plus, the banknotes we use today were originally vouchers representing gold. Yet, since the Bretton Woods Agreement was terminated in 1971 by the US President Richards, says fiat money is no longer dependent on gold. It took close to 15 years to get the Bretton Woods systems fully operating. As it evolved into a gold-dollar standard, there are three big problems of the interworld gold exchange standards re-emerge, which is 1. Adjustments, 2. Confidence, and 3. Liquidity problems. Those present at Bretton Woods envisions a worldwide monetary system that would guarantee exchange rate stability, discourage competitive devaluations, and foster economic progress. Although all parties agree on the new system aims, but the ideas for implementing them differs. It took a massive worldwide effort to secure a collective accord. Preparations for the summit began more than 2 years, with financial experts holding innumerable bilateral and international discussions to reach a consensus. While the Treasury departments in the United States had primary responsibility for foreign economy policy, the Federal Reserve played a role in the new system by providing guidance and counsel. Next, there is an issue and challenges in the Bretton Woods system. The first one is fixed parities. Under the original provisions of the Bretton Woods agreements, all countries fixed the value of their currencies in terms of gold, but were not required to exchange their currencies for golds. Second, balance of payment adjustments. A major difference was that instead of gold, countries other than the United States need to keep adequate international reserve in US dollar so that they would stand ready to defend their fixed exchange rate with the dollar. Next is the issues of coordinations. The coordination failures among the large economies led to the collapse of the Bretton Woods systems.
After World War II, it was clear the world needed a new financial system. The gold standard was considered too rigid, but at the same time, economists were worried that countries would devalue their currency to boost exports. For this reason, 44 countries sent delegates to a conference held in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, as of the 1st of July 1944. The US, which held 2/3 of the world's gold reserves after the war, was obviously the most influential player, and ultimately, all currencies ended up linked to the dollar, and the dollar was linked to gold. One important concern arose, though. If a country goes through an economic crisis, how can it get out of it without devaluing its currency? To address this issue, two institutions were created. One, the International Monetary Fund, which was supposed to lend money to countries that are in trouble and cannot attract financing from other sources. Two, the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which is now called the World Bank and was supposed to help less developed countries grow. Unfortunately, as good as it may have sounded on paper, the Bretton Woods system didn't survive because the United States kept running deficits to fund various projects, and therefore, the amount of dollars in existence kept increasing while the gold reserves of the US kept shrinking, as more countries demanded gold in exchange for their dollars. As such, on the 15th of August 1971, Nixon officially announced that dollars would no longer be convertible to gold, thereby putting the final nail in the coffin of the Bretton Woods system.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul Afika binti Syahrimi, metric number 2019230062, and I will continue to the third objective, the implication of Bretton Woods system in the economic perspective. As you can see in the slide, there is pros and cons about this Bretton Woods system, and I will start with the pros first. Okay, so the existence of this Bretton Woods system has led to the establishment of IMF and IBRD, which is these two has become the most important institution in international exchange currency nowadays. Through the agreement that has been agreed by 730 delegates, IMF and IBRD were established to be responsible for monitoring international trade and lend reserve currency to nations with balance of payment deficits. So what is the function of these two? The purpose of IMF, or known as International Monetary Fund, was established to monitor the exchange rate and identify countries in need of International Monetary Fund. Bretton Woods system will not work without the IMF. To this day, when a country joins the IMF, it receives a quota based on its relative position in the world economy, which determines how much it contributes to the fund. Meanwhile, the IBRD, or known as the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, now known as the World Bank, was formed to provide loans and funds to European countries devastated by the World War II and the economic development of less developed countries. Other than that, this Bretton Woods system also benefit to the US as as they set the dollar as a fixed exchange rate, which on that time $35 is equal to 1 ounce of gold. This means if other country wanted to convert their currencies to the gold, they need to convert their currency to the US dollar first. So as a result, the value of the US dollar is rising against the value of other currencies. However, the cons is this system was forced to be abandoned after a very acute balance of payment imbalance occurred in the US economy. This is mainly because after the Vietnam War caused a massive spending in the US, where the American economy had to endure a large balance of payment deficit. The Bretton Woods system was in place until persistent US balance of payment deficits led to foreign held dollars exceeding the US gold stock, implying that the United States could not fulfill its obligation to redeem the dollars at the official price. If it is fulfilled the obligation, the United States will go bankrupt. Other than deficit, US also has experienced the stagflation, which is a combination of inflation and recession, which led to the unemployment and also the low of growth economy. Therefore, in 1971, the president on that time, which is Richard Nixon, has decided to end the dollar's convertibility to gold. As a result, when the collapse of the system has resulted in no price control over the exchange of the gold value. To an extent, the value of gold has increased and reached 120 US dollar per ounce of gold on the free market. After surviving for almost 30 years, the Bretton Woods system officially ended in 1971. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hello, I'm back. So I will continue the presentations with the conclusion from our assignment. Okay. Concluding from this topic, the system of Bretton Woods of 1944 with its fixed exchange rates does not exist anymore today. Its institutions and procedure had to adjust to market forces to survive, but still its goals are as valid today as they have been in the past. Next, the benefits of the Bretton Woods system were significant expansions of international trade and investment, as well as a notable microeconomic performance, which are the rate of inflation was lower on average for every industrialized country except Japan than during the period of floating exchange rate that followed. Second, the real per capita income growth was higher than in any monetary regime since 1879, and the interest rate were low and stable. So it has to be noted that leading economics nowadays argue whether microeconomic performance stability was responsible for the success of Bretton Woods or the controversy. Alright. The second point is what are the implications of the Bretton Woods experience for future international monetary relations? Okay. First, the most important implications is the simply stabilizing exchange rates is not sufficient to automatically deliver the benefits trumpeted by the proponent of such an initiative. It is crucial that national economic policies, which is budget deficit, and economic outcomes, which are inflations, converge to a certain extent before countries decide to fix exchange rate. However, a short-term divergence of policies is not detrimental for the functioning of such system. It is a rather a credible commitment to fixed exchange rate that ensure its stability. It can be concluded that ambitious international monetary reforms like the system of Bretton Woods can only work if they are integrated into wider economic and political convergence. With this fact in mind, it is easy to understand how far the world, with its various country and living standard, policies and economics, is from a new system of Bretton Woods that can overcome its previous weakness. I think that's all from us. Thank you.